milk pudding skin and raisin eyes shut tight denim shorts. It's Fugcast. It's an absurdist comedy podcast written by a podgy middle-aged dad with milk pudding skin and performed by a middle-class man-shaped object with milk pudding around his mouth and a pair of extra-large denim shorts around his middle-aged waste of space-time for a snack. Close shave Cliff's face like milk pudding on a new hat-shaped object. And what do you think of my voice-like sound as a pound of sausage-shaped objects? I object to the overuse of the word object. Where's my sausage dinner? Is that it? It's V-tiny and you say, oh sorry, I shrank it with my shrinking ray. I could shrink you as well if you like. The sound of your own voice sounds like the sound of an electronic recording of the sound of a vacuum, cleaner than bell, fresher than end. It's a brand new... Oh, hang on, I need a shit. I'll be back in a minute or two.
Surprise.
Hello and welcome to Fugcast. And if this is your first time, hello and welcome to the absurdist comedy podcast that is called the name Fugcast. The only podcast written and performed by a tired, dishevelled man in his mid-40s. Wait, that can't be true, can it? There must be other shambolic middle-aged men talking nonsense into cheap microphones. Actually, while we're on the subject of microphones, I have a brand new one that I'm using right now. It's bright grey in colour and is made from metal and plastic. I also have a brand new audio interface. New microphone and new audio interface means that this episode of Fugcast contains 50% less sibilance. But before you write in and tell me that you like the sibilance, and actually that's why you listen to the absurdist comedy podcast that is called Fugcast, don't worry. Put your pencil down, because guess what? I've taken that 50%, all of that missing sibilance, and inserted it here.
I've heard that the man that actually writes Fugcast is a real mean guy. Boo! He says to child in street, and the child runs away crying. Idiot! He says to child on bus, and this child also bursts into tears. Pillock! He says to yet another child, but wait. This third child is really a muscular woman disguised as child, and she thumps him hard in the solar plexus. But wait again, because the man has a central pocket in his shirt that contains his cast iron tobacco box, and she goes, ah, my hand. And the man says,
oh cool, you make podcasts, says made-up guy at party. What's it about? Oh, you know, politics, news, fashion, hairstyles. Oh, right, well, no offence, but your hairstyle is not very cool. No, this is a hat, actually. Look. This is my real hair. Well, that's not very cool either. Oh, wait, no, this is another hat. And this goes on and on for several hours, and you say, wait, surely there's only so many hats a man can wear. He can't keep removing hairy hat after hairy hat indefinitely. It doesn't make sense. To which I reply, this is my podcast, and I say what I like, now hop it.
Did you know that the man that actually makes Fugcast is a really great guy? Well, he is. He's real friendly and says hello when he walks past someone he doesn't know and they stare at him blankly, and so he says it again, hello, and this time he adds a little wave and raises his beige eyebrows. But still they say nothing, and the man thinks, oh well, and heads back to the office.
Are you tired? Are you a tired, middle-aged man with thin arms and a fat chest? Do you feel that your best days are behind you? Do people avoid eye contact with you? Is that because you stare at them with your mouth open and your trousers round your ankles? Does this sound like an advert? Do I sound like the sort of person that speaks on advert? If this is an advert, then what am I selling? And if this isn't an advert, then what am I not selling?
In the past, comedy was like this.
My mother-in-law's very old and very fat, but not as old and fat as my wife.
Nowadays, comedy is like this.
I was going to make myself a bowl of Alpen this morning, but then I realised I'd run out of Alpen. And oat milk. And bowls. And spoons. What a nightmare.
150 years ago, comedy was probably like this.
Hey up there, Bayou. A turnip has dug up me carricks. If I sees him, I'd club him to death with this parslip.
And in the future, we can imagine that comedy will be like this. But right now, here on Fugcast, comedy is like this. Hey guys, anyone from Quadcester in the audience? No? How about a Selenimoncester? No? Tough crowd. So, I borrowed my uncle's bicycle the other day. Anyone here got an uncle? Yeah? So anyway, he said I could borrow his bike, but only if he came with me in a trailer fixed to the back. But wait, I needed bike to visit my new girlfriend, Susan Bloomingdale, and I don't want my mean old uncle coming along. So when I fixed trailer to bike, I made sure it wasn't fastened properly. Okay, uncle, I say, it's time to go, and he gets in trailer. Halfway to Susan's house, the trailer comes loose and rolls into ditch. I pretend not to hear uncle's screams and ride on. Susan and I have a lovely afternoon in her garden with sandwiches, cream buns, eclairs, crisps, and very hard-boiled egg sweets.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't you know what I could be like? Because I know what I'm supposed to do. Do you know what I do? Well, I shout loud. I shout really loud. I shout as loud as fire, and fire is quieter. I can shout more angry than a goat when they're turning into a male.
The hairy hat is the perfect accessory for those who want to make a statement and stand out from the crowd. Made of real human hair, you can choose between platinum blonde or gray to match your personal style. While it may be itchy, the hairy hat is worth it, as it provides a unique and eye-catching accessory that will leave a lasting impression. Join thousands of professionals who choose to stand out with the hairy hat. Order now and make your statement today. May contain traces of egg, cheese, tomato, sardine, ham, lettuce, cucumber, catsup, mustard, pickle, hummus, fish paste, liver paste, and shrimp paste.
I tend to sleep on my left side and my wife sleeps on her right, which means that I never sleep well because of her fishy breath, and neither does she due to my eggy breath. When my grown-up stepson Sully has a nightmare, he gets into bed with us, and then I really can't sleep. Not because of his onion breath, but rather that he chooses to sleep upside down with his size 12 feet in my face, and they do smell like ripe brie. Every time he farts, he lifts the duvet and wafts it in our faces, and we do the same to him.
Introducing the innovative Jelly Cloak, a must-have for professionals seeking comfort and style in the workplace. Available in 2 different soothing flavors, mint and lavender. It's no wonder thousands of professionals are already wearing them. The unique design features unbreathable jelly fabric that feels like a jelly hug, providing maximum discomfort and relief after taking it off. Although they are fully perishable and will melt in warm weather, they are jelly good fun. Say goodbye to stiff and stuffy professional attire and hello to the jelly cloak, your new favorite workday essential. May contain traces of rat hair, cat hair, bat hair, dog hair, hog hair, armchair, and chair and deck chair, 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 and chair.
Today's guest is one of the best guests, and if he sounds somewhat familiar, it's because he is. Having produced the world's premier absurdist comedy podcast for the last 15 years, he now runs a highly successful seafood company. Please welcome my future self, Chris Water-Woodfordson. How am I communicating with my future self, you ask? And I say, come on, mate, this isn't real, is it? You've got to suspend your disbelief. Can you do that? You can? Great. Anyway. Hi, Chris. Sorry about that. I was just explaining something to my made-up listener. Welcome to Fugcast, or welcome back, I should say.
I knew you'd say that.
Oh, right. Yes, of course you did.
And that.
Right. Okay. Let's just assume that you know everything I'm about to say. And
I do.
Right. That's fine. But what I'd like to know is, why did you change your name?
I knew you were going to ask that. Look, I changed my name because I wanted to be successful. How could I strike fear into the hearts of my business rivals with a name like Grasm Craigisfan?
Surely you mean Sam Langley?
No, I don't actually. That was 5 names ago. Since then I've been Tob Chifsmalab, used hat salesman, Biff Rivers, used soup salesman, and Soup Fairphone, used shoe sales soup.
Right, well, none of that makes much sense though, does it? What's a sales soup, and how can you sell used soup?
Have you heard your podcast before?
No, of course not. Why would I listen to it? It's just a man saying things that don't make any sense.
Exactly.
Oh, right, yeah, I see what you mean.
Did you want to ask me anything else?
Oh, yes, I guess so.
Well, do you want to know about my busyness?
Yes, sorry. Of course, you sell seafood, is that right? You run a seafood business?
Yes, I do, and in fact, you gave me the idea just then. That's what inspired me to give up podcasting, stop working in the art and craft shop and build my seafood empire. Well, technically I gave you the idea, but time isn't linear though, is it? One of us gave the other one the idea, or something like that.
How confusing. None of this makes any sense, but who cares? I guess it doesn't matter. No one listens to this anyway. Everyone listens to that other absurdist comedy podcast, don't they?
Geronathans? Yes, they do at the moment, but don't worry, that's about to change.
Oh, really? Do tell. Am I on the brink of becoming hugely successful?
Well, yes, because eventually you'll be me, Chris Water-Westfordshire, the Crab King, the Prawn Lord, the Big Squid. Well, the big dried squid. All my seafood is dried.
Dried crab sounds a bit weird. Is it nice?
Crab powder?
Dried crabs.
Crab powder.
Dried...
Crab powder? Oh, I only do powders. Crab powder?
Dried crabs.
I only do powders. Yes, it's quite nice. Very versatile. You can add it to anything. Shepherd's crumble, eggs Alexander, Pocklet Thomas, soup, rainwater. The list goes on. In the future, it's all powders, you see. Powdered egg, powdered milk, powdered bread, powdered soup, powdered chips, powdered house, powdered car, powdered job, soup.
You're just saying things. Powdered this and powdered that.
Yes, of course. We've already established that. This podcast is just you saying things that don't make much sense. Not like Geronathans. Now that's an absurdist comedy podcast. Well, it was. Nobody listens to comedy where I'm from.
What kind of podcasts do people listen to in your time, then?
Well, I'm not sure. My favourite one is about pen caps. That's really good. And there's another one I listened to about bottle tops and... have you heard Journotheremans? That's a good one from the past. My past, not yours.
Geronathans.
Hello, friend. My name's Geronathan, and I am the host of the world's #1 premium premier absurdist comedy podcast, Geronathans, featuring real guests, real jokes, and real premium nonsense written by an entire team of genuine imbeciles. Geronathans is the only absurdist comedy podcast that you need. The slick production, the polished content, and the luxurious tone of my voice ensure that Geronathans stands head and shoulders above the others. But how do we create Geronathans? How can a made-up man create a podcast that has been called the greatest podcast by a made-up critic? It's simple, and it's just like making a shepherd's crumble. Add a splash of idea oil to a big bronze pan, toss in a handful of finely diced celebrity onions, a splash of my whiny voice, tinned to my topical chat, and simmer and fume. It's really good, as these real-life celebrities will tell you now.
For me, Geronathans is the absolute pinnacle of pinnacles. It's the pinnacle on the pinnacle, or your pinnacle's pinnacle.
Hey, Geronathan, stop making your podcast so good. Give the rest of us a chance, you swine.
I don't really listen to podcasts, but I know that this is good, one mate.
Last year, Simon was in a spot of bother with his wife.
Yeah, I was in a spot of bother with the wife.
She caught him urinating into a pint glass and tipping it down the sink.
She caught me urinating into a pint glass and tipping it down the sink.
Simon's wife was furious.
Furious she was.
Why can't you urinate in toilet like everyone else? She shrieked. The truth was that Simon could have used the toilet, but it's upstairs and he couldn't be arsed.
It's upstairs, and to be honest, I couldn't be arsed.
Belocks, I say, slamming my tiny fist on the breakfast bar. That's so bucks, Dad. My grown-up stepson Whittaker waggles his finger and wobbles his big fireman's head. No, belocks for my bike. I can't find them anywhere. Have you got them? I bet you have. Come on, empty your pockets. No, I fucking haven't, he fumes. Ah, now you owe me so bucks, I say. Come on, cough up. No, that's the name of the new Morgan Wisdom film. You should watch it, Dad. It's about an angry middle-aged man that falsely accuses his grown-up stepson of stealing his stuff. Bollocks, mate, I don't believe that. Ah, so bucks, please. No, that's the name of the book I'm reading. And so on, and so on.
So this morning I was in the bathroom taking a shit, and my wife knocks on the door like tap, 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 and I'm like, what? What do you want? I'm taking a shit. And she's like, pinch it off, dude. I gotta take a shit. And I'm like, wait, what?
Hey, Paul. Hi, Paul. How's it going? Good, mate, good. How was half term? Yeah, pretty good, thanks. We went to see my brother's ex-wife down in... Oh, I can't remember the name. With all the trees? Yeah, that's the one. Ixemi's... no. With all the grass and the... Oh, I know. Yeah, anyway. A good time was had by all. Has she got a new bloke? Yeah, Pete. He's a good guy. Likes a pint of craft ale. Short hair, sculpted beard. T-shirt with a whale on it. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good T-shirt. Yeah, I thought so. The whale's dressed like a cowboy. Cool, cool. So back to work today? Indeed, yeah. I'm actually looking forward to it, you know. I'm going to sit down at my desk and tap, 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 tap. No kids, just tap, 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 tap. On the computer keyboard? Yep. Tap, 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 tap. Just tapping away. Random keys. My computer doesn't even work. It's made out of an old cornflake packet. Well, that's the monitor. The keyboard is made from a shoebox, and the actual computer is a bowl of soup. Cool, cool. So you'll be pretending to work? Exactly, yep. I overheard this conversation this morning at the school gates. What a pair of twats, I thought to myself. Perhaps I'll put it in show, and I have. Although I may have changed a few details. I'm not sure it was a couple of blokes now I come to think of it, and I'm not sure they were talking to each other. But it doesn't matter. There are plenty of dads like this where I live, and I'm one of them, tapping away on my pretend computer. Hey, what you working on? Can I have a look? Oh, I don't know. It's not finished. I'd rather you didn't. Come on, amigo. Just a quick peek. Don't be shy. Hey, Paul. Oh, hi, Paul. How's it going? Good, mate. How is that? This is good stuff, amigo. I quite like it. Here, do you want to hear what I'm working on? Hang on. Where's my glasses? I wrote it on back of Waitrose receipt. It's a poem. Buenos dias, cabrone. Muchos suentos y teddy se visten. Se morejas los dientes. Muchos gracias. Se un suelo la tuengas. Yo soy. E fuentas le favrones orejas. Buenos e estadez. Que buenos. Brilliant, I whisper. And how are you? How was half term? Yeah, pretty good. We went to see my sister's ex-husband down in, what's it called? You know, it's by the sea. Falfrethfordshire? Yeah, something like that. How's your sister's ex-husband? He's remarried, isn't he? Paul? Yeah, to Sue or Soup. Soupsy? Something like that, yeah. Lovely lady. Long grey hair, glasses, likes a glass of sherry, orange cardigan with a knitted picture of a cat on it. Oh, nice. That sounds like a nice cardigan. Yeah, it's really wicked, actually. The cat is dressed like a computer keyboard and is saying, tap, 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 tap.
So I'm from America. Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania County Fair or some shit. Where are you from, Mommy? That's what I asked my moms, and she said that she did hatch out in an old crocodile egg. And I said, geez Louise, Mommy, that's pretty fucked up.
Isn't it time you got off your ass and did something? She said. Yes, perhaps you're right, I said. And so I stood up, put on my overcoat, and went to the vegetable shop where I purchased 1 celeriac, 2 swede, 3 kohlrabi, and 4 turnip. Oh, and 17 potato. I then spent all afternoon peeling, chopping, and carving my collection of root vegetables into houses, shops, people, and cars until I had a perfect recreation of our town. What is all this? She said. What a waste of time! But it wasn't. It was really well made. Look, I said, there's Mr. Parsfordshire, the grocer. I even made his glasses. And look, individual strands of hair. Are you not impressed? No, I am not. Well, what about, look, this is Mrs. Miss Awful Waterfordson and her dog Sean. I managed to knit her cardigan from parsnip fibres. Look, it's got the cat design on, and the cat is saying, howdy, partner. And look over here, it's Keith, the butcher's boy. He's waving. Look, he's waving at you, darling. Is that me, is it? I don't look like that. Why am I not as detailed as the other ones? It just looks like a potato. You haven't carved it at all.
Anyone here got a mom? Yeah. Did she hatch out to an old crocodile egg? Mine did. No shit. And my pops was like a big balloon guy, right? No, literally he was a guy's face drawn on a balloon. Yeah, their marriage didn't last long.
Okay, so the big news is that I've quit my job in the art and craft shop. It wasn't a real job anyway, just a mildly amusing idea that became more amusing every time I mentioned it, didn't it? Until one day I decided that I was bored of the idea, and so now I work in office. I'm not sure what my role is, and I spend most of my time tapping away on the computer keyboard. Tap, 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 tap. There are only 5 keys, and the symbols on each key are not ones that I recognise. Sometimes I pretend I'm a famous keyboard player in a progressive funky band, like Guy Carbonate of Soda, or Jed from Dad Bod, or even Little Willie Heavens from the Dust Jackets. I'm pretty sure those guys only had 5 keys on their computer keyboards. Other times I pretend to be a spaceman shooting laser beams from my fingers at evil space aliens, but most of the time I pretend that I'm a man working at his computer in office.
You want to feel like a zillion bucks, right? You want your hair to stand on end like you've seen a ghost. You want fresh minty breath, but you also want wild googly eyes. You want to move really fast, right? But you also want to wear a white lab coat. You want to cook a nutritious meal in like 30 seconds, but you also want to write complex looking equations on a blackboard. What do you want? Do you want to be like a mad scientist or something?
That's right.
So my brother Steven comes around my house and he wants to borrow my dust jacket. And I'm like, what are you? Are you a book now or what?
Now that I work in office, or pretend to work in office, I have plenty of hilarious anecdotes. You'll never guess what happened at office, I tell my daughter. She's only 2, but I can tell she's gripped by story of missing stapler. Or maybe she's staring at all the paper clips in my hair. Other benefits of my new job include sew bucks and company bicycle with 12 gears, bell, lights, and magazine holder. Some of my colleagues have pointed out that it is dangerous to thumb through copy of Top Bicycle magazine whilst riding bicycle, but I haven't had an accident yet, and that makes me think that I'm probably invincible, especially when I wear my armoured suit. Woe betide anyone that crashes into me, though, as my suit is covered in metal spikes, and so is my bike. The only downside of my new role, as far as I can see, is that I come home stinking of photocopier, and so I have to take a long shower before my wife will allow me to climb on top of her. My best work friend has the name Weichel. No one seems to be able to process the fact that he's called Weichel, and so they all call him Peichel. Weichel is a man of few words, which suits me fine as I prefer to do all the talking when I talk to other person. I have so many hilarious stories and wild anecdotes, you see, so there's seldom room for other people to speak. I can tell that Weichel enjoys every minute of our one-way conversations. He may look like someone has removed his batteries, but it's a stunned look of awe rather than one of gormless indifference.
So my brother's private chef robot Stevens comes around my house and he wants to borrow a couple teaspoons salt, some garlic, and a knife. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you gonna make with that? Salty knife and garlic stew? Or knife pie with garlic and salt?
I'll fight anyone. I'll fight anyone and anything, anywhere. I'll fight a bag of walnuts in a dark alley. No, fuck that, in a vacuum. I'll fight a bag of raisins in a pub car park. I mean, vacuum. I'll fight a vacuum cleaner salesman. No, a vacuum. That's right, I'll fight nothingness. If the eternal void thinks it stands a chance against a slightly overweight middle-aged man with a medieval haircut and eyes drawn on... If the eternal void thinks it stands a chance against a slightly overweight middle-aged man with a medieval haircut and eyes drawn on pieces of paper and stuck over his eyes... Welcome to the motivational section of the podcast. It's a brand new opportunity for you to set new goals, create better habits, and change your sad, unsuccessful life into happy, successful life. You're scrolling through Instagram, and your feed seems to consist entirely of furious males. Furious, motivational males screaming at you to tidy your bedsit, wash behind your ears, make your bed, and iron your blouse. Why are they all so angry? You're not sure, but they're all very successful, or at least that's what they're telling you. What's this guy saying? Tidy your grotty bedsit, comb your wispy beard, buy a mirror and scowl into it every morning, and after a week of this, you can add a bark, and then after another week, an angry wink. Have you got that? Scowl, bark, angry wink, and then see if you can rapidly raise and lower your eyebrows. Careful, not too high and not too low. Yes, that's fine. Okay, you gotta repeat these actions every single day for 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, you will realize that you've been wasting your time and that this particular self-help guru is full of shit. But don't worry, there are plenty of others.
Oh, yummy. Oh, nom. Oh. Oh, yummy.
What am I eating? I'm eating a bowl of crunchy Choco Pops, which I soaked overnight in rainwater, and some steamed prunes, which I cooked under my own steam. Now, I paid for these items with some of the money donated by my kind and loyal listeners. The rest I shall be spending on a new hairy hat and jelly cloak. So if you'd like to donate, and I'd love you if you did, then simply visit fugwatch.com and donate using the tiny yellow button. And if you do decide to donate and help fund my silly podcast, then in all seriousness, thank you.
I said to my wife, let's watch a film, and she said to me, there aren't any good films. But when I'm watching a film, I wish I was watching a different film, a better film, something more interesting. I said to my friend, let's go for a drink, and my friend said to me, yes, that should be fine. But when I'm having a drink with my friend, I wish I was having a drink with a different friend, a better friend, someone more interesting. Interest, does it interest me? Interest, do you interest me?
So my brother's secretary, Kim Stevens, comes around my house and she wants to borrow a pen and some paper. And I'm like, what the fuck? What are you going to make with that? A paper hat with a pen stuck to it? Or like a pen wrapped in paper?
Hello there, it's me again, with some more words that I wrote in my small notebook on toilet. And what am I going to say next? Well, how about this? There was an old woman from Halifax who decided... I don't know what rhymes with woman. You'd think it would be easy to write a limerick, but it's not. There was an old woman from Gloucestershire... no, same problem. Right, how about this? There was an old photocopier from Hastings that desperately needed replacing... No. Fuck. I've got to come up with a limerick for this Saturday, you see. That's the imaginary deadline I've given myself. All right, what about this? There once was a stapler from Guatemala. Oh, fuck it!
I'm in the doghouse again. Yes, that's right. My brother-in-law's staying with us and he prefers it if I'm not around. It's okay though, because I've got a wee telly in the kennel and my wife has a couple of liver capsules delivered to me every 2 hours by Fido, our New Yorkshire butler. So right, films. This month sees the release of Noxious Gas from the aperture between my buttocks, starring Pillipony Featherstone as Cloud of Noxious Gas, Keith Watersonford. Keith is a detective that has to solve a grisly murder, but how can he solve anything when he's essentially a rapidly dissipating fart? Spoiler alert, he doesn't solve any murders because he's merely a foul, gaseous emission. Did I like this movie? Well, I thought it sounded brilliant, but unfortunately I found it very difficult to tell what was going on, and that's because farts are invisible, aren't they? And I don't think that director Guff Freeman really considered this. So there's a lot of empty shots, with no dialogue. The only way you can tell Keith is in a scene is if one of the other characters holds their nose and does say, "Phew, what is that disgusting smell? It smells like pure jobbies in here." So in summary, it's a bit of a stinker. Really Deep Hole 3DQ AH is the latest movie in the Deep Hole series directed by Des. Once again starring Morgan Free Ken Castle as 5-year-old boy detective Ken that digs a really deep hole, falls inside, and can he get back out again, Ken? Meanwhile, there's a bad woman, played to perfection by Leslie Cricketwater, going around spreading gossip. Will Ken escape from hole? Will bad lady get her comeuppance? Did I like this film? Do you care? Will my wife let me back in house? Will the Dundee All-Stars win in soccer? Well, spoiler alert, no Ken spends whole film in hole. I've pissed myself again, 9 billion T. It's the latest film in the series of films. It's called I've Pissed Myself Again. Once again starring Ben, this middle-aged man Ken, who seems to slightly piss himself every time he puts his wally back in his keggies. Now, I absolutely adored this film because I can really relate to Ken's problem. Aye, that's right, every time I go for a wee-wee, I release the safety pin in my trousers, release a stream of bright orange liquid into the sink, then tuck my wally back into my keggies, fasten the safety pin, and then, oh, rummets, I've pissed myself again. Anyway, bye.
All of the material for Fugcast is written whilst I'm doing something else. Right now I'm taking a shite, and in a few minutes I'll be preparing a shepherd's crumble. Later today, I'm taking my daughter to billiards club, and after that I'm teaching senior citizens how to surf the internet. All of these activities require 50% of my faculties at the most, which means that I'm able to use the remaining 39% to write this kind of thing. I haven't included the 10% that I need to keep breathing, obviously. Now, 39% doesn't sound like much until you remember that all other podcast hosts only use 2%, which means that Fugcast is around 35% better than other podcasts.
So my brother's fiance, Jill, knocks on my door and she wants to borrow my wedding ring, and I'm like, Jesus, what the fuzz? Haven't you ever heard of a doorbell? Look, it's right there. Just ring the bell next time.
Second shit of the day. Could be orange or grey, could be yellow, chestnut, white or beige. Second crap of the day, and I'm tapping away on my laptop. The color of my laptop is grey. And I hear my wife say, pinch it off, dude, 'cause I'm not in the mood for waiting. Other people need a poo too. Regular, I'm a regular guy. Regular, I'm a regular guy. Can't I have a little piece? Third shit of the day is now well on its way, and I'm reading a book about a man who doesn't eat enough fiber. And I'm shaking my head because needless to say he's constipated, and I'm never constipated. Never constipated. Never constipated.
constipated.
Well, it's the end of this episode. It was good, wasn't it? Maybe not the best episode, but still quite good. Please remember to share it, the shit out of it, like it, subscribe, all the usual. Tell your friend. No, not your boring friend from office with the receding eyeline. No, your funky friend with the cool hairdo and the cool catchphrase that's like,
All right then, guys.